University. And welcome to the second in a series of 7 presentations of life at the forest. These presentations are designed to assist you, our newest neighbors, learn more about this wonderful place you have chosen for the latest chapter in your life. Before I introduce this morning's speakers, I'd like to take a moment to put in a plug for the Employee Appreciation Fund. The Employee Appreciation Fund is the only way residents have to thank the 258 staff members for their hard work in keeping us safe, secure, and comfortable. Contributions to the fund by residents are truly voluntary, and amounts contributed who did or did not contribute are confidential. The only information which the Residents Association receives at the end of the fund drive are the number of contributors and the total dollar amount contributed. If you contribute, your gift will be confirmation. You will receive a confirmation letter from Karen Henry, which you can then discuss with your tax advisor as a contribution to a nonprofit organization. You are urged to be generous and contribute an amount that you are comfortable in giving. This morning, we are pleased to welcome Sharon Pitt and Jim Friedman. Sharon is the CFO of our organization.
COO.
And COO, pardon me. Is that a promotion or dean?
That's terrifying. That's what that is.
Jim is the president of the Residents Association. Sharon came to us in 2020. That's right. So she's getting ready to have her 5th anniversary. Her prior experience was director of Red Cross blood drives.
I was CEO for North and South Carolina.
Yeah, okay. So she's used to working with nonprofits and asking favors. Delighted to have her to make the presentation this morning. Jim is currently serving as the president of the Residents Association and has previously served on the association board. He's retired from IBM, where he had a distinguished career in research and technology. He's also served as a treasurer of
the microphone so that we can hear better.
yeah.
You want to sit up here?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit up here.
Right in front of the speaker. Oh, gee. You do.
Perfect. As I was saying, Jim had a distinguished career in research and technology. He's also served as president of the Homeowners Association prior to moving to the forest. You may frequently find him in the art studio. He works on his unusual play designs. At this point, Eric,
So I will definitely need the mic because for those of you that know me, you know I'm extremely loud. That was a joke. I am not. But good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you today. Normally, this session is led by Anita Holt, our CEO, but she's double booked, and so I'm stepping in. And this is my first presentation for Life at the Forest for this particular topic. So I would appreciate and be most grateful to get to receive your feedback afterwards. So I don't know how I did. That said, I consider it a privilege to introduce you all to Forest. Some of you I don't recognize, some of you I do. I also take great pride in getting to know all of the residents by name. So the next time I see you, if I've introduced myself, I always challenge folks to let me know if I know who you are. That's very important to me. We'll get started. Can you all hear me okay in the back? Great. So the forest was founded in 1992, 33 years ago, on what was the Pickett family farm. This community began with the question, how could development not just change, but serve the neighborhood? So a group of forward-thinking local physicians and Duke Forest neighbors, many affiliated with Duke University and Duke Hospital, came together to turn that question into action. They purchased the land with a mission to build a community that promoted aging with independence, engagement, and peace. And it should be noted that while we maintain meaningful ties to Duke, especially in healthcare, we have never been owned or operated by Duke. We are and have always been independent. From the beginning, this group did the research. They looked at what was out there in the world in developing communities and how they were developing them that were not necessarily faith-based. The history of CCRCs is rich in the faith-based communities. Many of them were born out of church communities as homes for their parishioners and their leaders. So this group looked at some of the communities that were non-faith-based, including Finnish communities, and studied how they started their CCRCs. And those examples helped the group to shape our vision of community living and working in economy. And at the forest, in line with that, we work to remove barriers, offer choices that support each resident's personal path. We create opportunities for residents to live as they have always lived and that support our core values. And our core values include the quality of community life, the pursuit of excellence, respect and support, accountability and integrity, and community responsibilities. And for us, particularly the leadership team, these aren't just buzzwords, they're embedded in everything that we do. We share that with our staff as well in the Forest Way. You'll see that information, well, it's not as much around as it has been, but you'll see that information around more frequently. But these are the guidelines that we use with our team members. It's our internal standard for respectful, mission-aligned, community-centered interaction, and it helps us all live and work in harmony. So our campus today spans a beautiful 47 acres of wooded and landscape grounds, offering a balance of privacy, walkability, and accessibility. It's not just a place to live, it's a place to enjoy and explore our natural beauty. We have functional spaces and it has a layout that supports community connection. Over the years, we've explored options for expanding onto nearby land, including the adjacent 5 acres held by Duke, but that has since Duke has made it clear that they're not interested in selling, so we continue to be focused on the property that we have. Our current campus features 149 apartments, 6 were combined expanded units. We have 81 cottages, and then our community center that functions as our main hub and home to dining, fitness classes, activities, lectures, and events. Our health center has 58 skilled nursing beds, 32 assisted living beds, including a dedicated memory support dementia unit. And you'll hear more about the health center and its model from Leanne Bailey Clayton during her Life at the Forest presentation. We operate with an annual budget of $23 million, which covers our day-to-day operations, our staffing, our resident services, and campus amenities. Each year, we dedicate approximately $2.5 million to capital improvements. That includes major repairs, infrastructure upgrades like HVAC, roofing, paving, etc. And we've got some paving coming up in July. And then system replacements when maintenance is no longer enough. We had a roof replacement a couple years ago. And this kind of proactive reinvestment is critical to preserving our property, meeting modern standards, and avoiding costly businesses in the future. Our community runs smoothly because of the collaboration among many departments, including administration, health services, community life, which does all the programming, events, wellness, enrichment opportunities, community services, which is dining, transportation, security, maintenance, and housekeeping. And they are all supported by professionals in marketing, human resources, and finance. And it takes all of these groups to provide the high quality services from curb to the cottage, to the dining table. So our structure, we are a 501c3 not-for-profit. And while this exempts us from property taxes, we voluntarily contribute the equivalent of 5% of our annual revenue through community grants, in-kind services, and unreimbursed care. We provide benevolent care to residents who outlive their financial resources, ensuring they don't face the fear of having to leave. If you're here, we ensure that there's an opportunity for you to stay here. Being nonprofit also gives us access to tax-exempt bonds, helping us borrow capital at lower costs. We're governed by a volunteer board of directors. They are leaders in law, education, medicine, finance, and community service. The board oversees our long-term planning, but not daily operations. And one of the things that is also unique about the forest is our board also consists of our residents. We have 2 residents that are part of our board as well. Our longstanding relationship with Duke University Medical Center benefits us deeply. Our medical director and physicians are part of Duke's geriatric practice. And then we also host interns, fellows, and research partnerships that enrich our care and community experience. We have a lot of accreditation, regulation, and recognition. We are accredited by CARF, or CARF is the Commission on Accreditation for Rehabilitation Facilities. We actually bought the organization that was the accrediting organization. They bought it about 15 years ago, and so now they are accrediting CCRCs. But they have about 1,400 standards of care, and organizations that choose to be CARF accredited are those that not only want to meet the minimum standard, but they want to meet a higher standard. And we have been accredited now for several years without any recommendations. And they focus on things such as care quality, governance, and service delivery. We hold a BBB- Fitch rating, which means a strong credit and sound financial footing. Only about 250 of approximately 3,000 CCRCs in the United States hold such ratings. Oversight for our organization is provided by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the North Carolina Department of Insurance. We are also Energy Star certified, meaning that we're environmentally efficient. And then Music and Memory certified, which is a therapeutic music programs that are designed for dementia. In line with this, our staff receives ongoing training, certification, and professional development across all areas. And some of you may or may not be aware, this is not listed here, but the Forest at Duke Newsweek started ranking CCRCs in 2024 as a 2025. Forest at Duke is the #2 CCRC in the state of North Carolina, and it was ranked number 18 in the country. The #1, yeah, that's right. Excellent. The #1 CCRC in North Carolina is Gibbons Estate, and it's a wonderful organization. Gibbons Estates is in Asheville. Gibbons Estate, we're #2. #2 in North Carolina, number 18 in the United States. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. All right, key resident information. So when you move in, you receive a lot of information. In fact, I'm sure you're pretty overwhelmed by what you received. But you don't have to absorb all of it at once. There are some documents that will always be able to help you if you have questions. Your resident care agreement is your formal contract with the community. It details services and responsibilities and your rights. Think of it as your foundational reference for any questions that you have about how life here is structured. The disclosure statement is another really good document. It has all of our budget information in it. It has all the information in general about leadership, about our board of governors. It has a ton of information. It's quite comprehensive. It is available to you in print. It is on Cubigo. It is on our website. And this is the annual document that's required by the Department of Insurance. Your resident handbook is a little bit less formal. It's an internal guide to community life. It includes policies, expectations, and then practical resources about living at the Forest at Duke. Again, it's less formal, but it's a really good place to get good answers about day-to-day living. It is in the process of being revised. So our community is committed to maintaining a community where there are no barriers. We prohibit discrimination in both housing and employment based on race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, disability, familial status, or national origin. We also prohibit firearms. They are prohibited in all public spaces. And we are now a firearm-free community. In 2022, we made a decision to prohibit firearms. So there may be individuals that may have them prior to that, that were grandfathered, but no new residents will be allowed to own firearms. And while we're not a law enforcement agency, we are serious about enforcing our safety and then working within the legal boundaries to maintain them. So the Forest at Duke carries property and liability insurance for the entire community. That covers our assets, the structures, general liability, and professional malpractice. But each resident must have renter's insurance to protect your own personal belongings, furniture, electronics, valuables, and then liability coverage in case of accidents like water damage or guest injuries. Is required in your contract, and we strongly encourage you to review it annually to make sure that your coverage is current and adequate. I know we all have team members that are near and dear to you, and on occasion you may want to express your gratitude. Forrest, I've talked about this just a little bit before I got started, but we have a very strictly enforced no tipping policy. No cash, no gifts, no exceptions. And any gift that's given must be reported and returned. That does happen sometimes. But as Forrest said earlier, what you can do instead is support our employee appreciation fund organized by the Residents Association. And the funds are distributed to all non-director staff, including behind the scene roles like laundry and dishwashing. These workers are essential, but they're often unseen. And by contributing to the fund, you support everyone's contribution. So I strongly encourage you to support at your comfort level. So unfortunately, issues do arise from time to time, and our goal is to respond early and respectfully and find resolution. The steps to resolving concerns are first, talk to the person involved. If you're not comfortable having that conversation, you can speak with their supervisor. If it remains unresolved, you can speak to their department director. And most problems are resolved at that level. On occasion, just informally, this is not a part of the process, but informally, residents will also reach out to me to address issues because most of the service delivery falls within my purview. And that's usually where we have some concern or some feedback that I need to know about. But if you find yourself in a situation where it's still unresolved, The next step begins the formal process, which is submitting a written complaint to Anita Holt, her CEO. And she'll respond within 10 days. That initial response may include time to thoroughly investigate the concern, followed by a formal response. So if needed, you may need to, and at that point, if you're still not happy with that response, that formal response from Anita, you may appeal in writing to the board of directors. However, the board will not consider a request unless the formal process has been. And once the board makes their decision, it is final. So this slide shares our leadership team who oversees daily operations, departments, and our strategic direction. Our CEO, Anita Holt, myself, the Chief Operating Officer, Karen Henry, who is our Director of Finance and Chief Financial Officer. She's one of our longest serving directors. She's been here for 20 years. We love her. Leanne Bailey Clayton, who's also been here a very long time, but not in her current role. She started about 25 years ago as a social worker, and she has been an advocate for residents and families and a leader in the community that entire time. She was licensed about 7 years ago and assumed leadership of the health center as the Director of Health Services. April Rovelli is our Director of Sales and Marketing, who does such a fantastic job keeping us fully occupied and very visible in the community. Nathan Summers, I bet everybody probably knows Nathan. He's our Director of Community Services, which includes dining, housekeeping, maintenance, security, laundry, and transportation. So he definitely has his hands full. And then Sarah Haney, our Director of Community Life, who has the job of bringing folks out and around in the community, coming in and creating all kinds of things that make our community vibrant. Definitely not my strong suit, but she does an amazing job with her team. And then rounding out the team is Larry Williams, our Director of Human Resources. Larry's been with us for about 2 years, so he's the newest member of the leadership team. And then Rashad Wilson, our Director of Information Systems. We're very pleased to have this director team. Nothing happens here without them. And as you go through the Life at the Forest series, you'll have an opportunity to engage with each of them, get to meet all. Our organizational chart, this chart is actually posted in the connections room, but it clarifies reporting relationships. It'll give you some guidance as to who to contact if you have any questions, and a few highlights on department responsibilities. So how do we communicate? We like to encourage dialogue, two-way communication, and not just announcements. So the way that we communicate on a regular basis is the executive staff update. They're done once a year, usually in the spring and the fall. And as a reminder, there is one scheduled tomorrow at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. I encourage you to come. Lots of information will be shared. And then we also have community-wide meetings, which are done as necessary. And then Coffee and Conversations, they're also scheduled this week with April Ravelli. I encourage that you come and have a conversation with her. These are smaller focus groups with 30 or more, and it gives you an opportunity to have open questions and answers. And April knows a lot, so I encourage you to come. For written communication, we also work very closely with the Residents Association with different committees. Our committees in the Residents Association mirror our governing board committees, our caucuses, and then board meetings. And then also opportunities for resident-driven feedback loops and initiatives, meaning, for example, the opportunity that you have on Cubica to let us know how we're doing with dining. We encourage you to please use that. We read them. They're very important, and it gives us real-time information so that we can respond to it accordingly. Written and digital channels, we use the Forest Forward, which is our weekly newsletter. We also include resident updates, which are usually specific to operations or a health update. When we were in the pandemic, this was how we communicated information like that. We continue to do that on occasion as needed. Channel 1390 is our internal TV programming. And then Cubigo, which is our central resident portal for communication, calendars, and service requests. Cubigo, if you're not using it, I would strongly encourage you to use it. We love it. We had a different platform, and when we got Cubigo, it was like, oh my God, we needed this so desperately. Whenever we have new information to share, Cubigo is definitely where it's going to be. It's very easy for us to share information right away, and if you're using that app, you will have immediate access to it. You know it when we know it. So again, I encourage you to please use Cubigo. The Resident Association webpage, it's maintained by residents, but it's full of shared resources. And then our mailbox flyers, if you see this obnoxious neon colored paper in your box, it's because we have something we want you to see, and that's how we share that information with you. It always stands out, and we try to find the worst color possible. And this is not listed here, but there's another mechanism for our residents to use. It's called TFAB Response. It's TFAB Response at Forest.org. If you ever have a question, and for residents that have been here for a while, it used to be Ask Anita, but now it's TFAB Response. And if you shoot an email to them, that mailbox is monitored by myself and Anita. So we will respond to you. So any questions that you have, feel free to send a quick email and we'll respond to you. And then lastly, emergency notifications, your telephone emergency notification system or TENS. We try to use this one very judiciously because we want you to know if you're getting that, it's really important. So we tend to use it for power outages, storms, emergency closures, or schedule changes that are just last minute. We also use Cubigo, but if you're getting it on a TENS, it may well be power outage. That's usually one of the main reasons we use it. We do try to be mindful of timing, so if it's not urgent, we may wait until morning. One other thing of note is that critical functions in the community center during a power outage are supported by generator backup. The elevators are identified that are supported by generator backup in the event of a power outage. And then our health center has full generator backup. So thank you for your time. And what questions you have?
I'm wondering if COO, the rumors fly. And we're wondering, I think a lot of people are wondering how the integration of the terraces folks is going to work when dining services are not really over there.
So I'm going to tell you to come to the executive staff update or she's asking about the.
You know what you did, everybody.
Sure, she's asking how will the terraces residents be integrated? And I encourage her to come to the executive staff update
We'll find out.
tomorrow at 7.
I first want to compliment you on a good presentation.
Thank you.
I must have missed it. I didn't see the coffee and conversation this week. When is it?
And Bill's having some.
That's what I mean. I didn't.
Yes.
Right. Where would I find that information?
In Forest Falls.
What was the question?
But that's not an important question. The question, I'm sorry, do you want to recap that? Sure.
She was asking about coffee and conversations this week. And where was that information? It is on Cubigo and it is also in the Forest folder.
But my real question is, I heard you say that the Force at Duke voluntarily makes contributions. And I've heard from so many people that excuse me, that is required. And that didn't sound right to me. So could you explain how the contributions to community works?
In order for the Force at Duke to maintain its non-exempt status, we do have to contribute 5% of our revenue. But how you do that is up to us. And we choose to do that through community grants, in-kind service, and benevolent care.
We avoid paying property tax by voluntarily participating.
Correct.
In that there's a clause in the state law.
That is right. So Forrest was just explaining that we avoid paying taxes by voluntarily participating in that process. Because you don't have to, you can pay the taxes, but we choose not, we choose to distribute the funds to the community. Yes.
Is there a formal program for new residents about which departments reach out to you to talk to you about their uh, uh, things and implementation and information generally when you first move in here? My contacts were primarily with the construction manager, and I'm here a month, and I've been contacted by two other departments who are voluntarily. In other words, I didn't reach out to Pam about the gym, the pool. She called me recently, but there are other departments, social worker and community, Nathan people have shown because I've gone through maintenance, but I haven't heard anybody coming and say, this is what you do, you need us, this is the kind, this is who you should call. It's not formal, it seems to be informal, which is okay as long as we know it.
So there's not a formal process for department heads to reach out to new residents when they move in. Part of this experience, Life at the Forest, this series, is an opportunity for you to meet with every department head, including your social workers, the director of health services, everyone, finance, everyone has an opportunity to go through Life at the Forest. However, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to anyone and we'd be more than happy to help.
Not a problem. I just wanted to know.
Sure.
We'll be happy to do that. But that's not, I had no information when I came here that was the case, okay?
Okay. Yes, sir.
I have a question about communication, particularly when you communicate with one of the staff, specific now about maintenance. And you say you have something you would like anybody to come and look at. Well, you never know when they're coming. We'll be there between 9 and 10 or 10 and 12 before. And it says they will show up sometime today. And I think that's not an appropriate way to handle people who need some kind of maintenance.
So his request was, or his comment was that when he has a request for maintenance, they are not specific about when the extension is on. And I do not disagree with you. I think you're absolutely correct, and I will follow up on that.
Thank you.
Sure.
No, I just asking, when we came, we had a mentor. And so that's somebody that had all sorts of information. So I don't know if you have a mentor.
The dynamo.
Right.
Mr. Chamber.
I have one other question in relationship to communication. If you make a communication, for example, in cafeteria about something that they would like to see happen, is it possible that somebody could either say, we got your communication, we're looking at it, we don't really give a damn about it, just let you know that they did receive it. And we've sent in like 3 or 4 of those and never heard back from anybody. And I think that's not appropriate.
Are you sending it via Cubigo?
Pardon?
Are you sending your response via Cubigo?
No, I'm sending to Citgo. They have this little box you drop and say, please drop. it."
Oh, okay, okay.
And that's what we did.
So it's a little bit harder if you're using a pen and paper for them to respond to it. I would strongly encourage you to use Cubigo. I do know, again, that that's a,
Well, if that's not effective, then you ought to take the boxes away. and say,
I will address that, but I would encourage you to use the Cubigo.
Because in the dining committee, which meets monthly with the dining activities, we usually go through the comments that have been submitted. Now, I'm not sure, that should be all of it, including Cubigo and or every single one is either responded to by the dining staff and into people directly or some feedback. So
We've submitted ours 4 times and had not been contacted by anybody.
and that was the hard copy. I'll come to the dining committee. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I am too.
You read the minutes of the, we were basically a major part of the meeting is specific comments on food issues and that type of thing.
Thank you, Jim. Mr. Jim, you have a question?
I'm just curious, you had the department of NC, the Department of Insurance comes for some compliance. What are they expected? Department of Insurance compliance that they.
They're a comprehensive organization, reviewing everything from our financial standing. Not so much, we're independent living, so there's no like, not like the health center, there's not that kind of components, but primarily to ensure that we are a solvent and solid community, and that there are not any major organizational threats to us from a financial perspective. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, we also. No, the executive update.
Good morning, everybody. Hear me without the mic. I'm trying to find there's a debate between the voice and the feedback, the mic. Hearing aids or even a hum, so if you can hear me, I'm not going to use the mic. All new faces here. How many people have been here less than a year? Raise your hand. Oh, wow. Can we go through and just sort of find out where you came in from?
Downtown.
Downtown, in New York, that used to be New York City. Downtown.
We came from Northern Virginia by way of Chapel Hill. First family retired to Chapel Hill.
Same with me, Atlanta through Chapel Hill.
Atlanta.
I came from Kansas City to Durham.
Welcome.
New York City, Durham, here.
From New York City. Well,
Austin.
Right from New York City and I'm stuck.
another Chapel Hillian. In the back.
New York City, and then an hour north of New York City for 40 years, and
How far north of New York City?
I was in North Peachona, Kisco,
Wow.
Danbury,
It was in Pleasantville, so we're almost neighbors.
and then I lived in New York City all my life till I was 30, and now I'm here.
Roosevelt Island in the middle of Manhattan.
I think I know where you're from.
I'm a southern girl from about 40 miles away, Graham, North Carolina.
Oh,
Amherst, Massachusetts.
fantastic. Well, welcome to the forest. Anyway, you heard the presentation from Sharon that sort of went through the business part of the forest. And I'd like to talk to you about the Residents Association. Now, your first question is, why we need a residents association. And if I figure out which button here moves me forward, there we go. What I'll do is I'll give you a quick overview in terms of what is the residents organization, what our finances are. And yeah, we do have some, but it's small compared to the $25 million budget the administration undisplaced. And I'll talk to you about becoming part of the Residents Association, because the Residents Association is you. It's the residents. It's not me as president, Don Chandon, reporter, and secretary. It's a way of getting everybody involved in the community and taking advantage of the skills we bring here to make this a better place to live out our the end of the race years, so to speak. So what are we as an organization? Why are we here? You heard what the forest is a 501c3. Well, we're a 501c7. What is that? it's defined as a social club. What is a social club? It's a club that enhances community, and that's basically what we are and what we're here for. Do we have any power? To be brutally honest, no. Why? Because the agreement you have within your contract is what defines what you get and how you do. So therefore, the residents association is here to build a community, to be a communication link between you and the administration and the administration and you. And although there are many great paths for that communication, it's everyone through in terms of how the administration keeps you up to date, in terms of the coffees and discussions, in terms of the executive presentations, et cetera. Quite often there's needs for communicating what appeared to be needs within the majority of the community to make sure we're across by of the administration. Okay. And we are distinct again from the Forest of Duke itself, and was distinct from Duke itself, so to speak, although there are many Duke retirees here enjoying the community. And we're distinct from Norcross, which is the North Carolina continuing care resident community, which is basically a similar type of organization that incorporates all the CCRCs in the state and represents the CCRCs to the state legislature. The laws that are enacted do not impact us in a negative way. One recent example was where they wanted to add purchases like food by the residents association, by the continuing care resident communities, where before it had not been, and the organization was quite instrumental in making sure that did not change. And everybody in individual CCRCs can join the Norcross organization, and there's a publication now, and they have meetings in the areas around here, which one is well. But as I say, it's a separate part of the from us. Oops, I go too far. Okay, so as I said, why are we here? Clearly, basically, as to build community and to act as a communicant in terms of up to the administration and from the administration to us. What are we structurally? Everybody in this room is a member by definition, being resident. Okay. We have a board of directors, which is distinct from the Forest and Duke board of directors that Sharon spoke to, where they overview the decision being made and making sure that the actions of the administration are consistent with North Carolina rules, et cetera. Our board of directors basically is organized in such a way that each director is appointed as chair of a committee that interacts with the administration. And as you see, if I go through one of the next charts of the organizational structure, we're basically structured parallel to the Forest and Duke organization, because each committee basically interacts with a director in order to find out what is going on, communicate what is taking place. So all in all, there are 14 board voting members on the board. 4 make up the executive team, which is the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And then there are 10 directors who are assigned by the president to chair the committees. And then in addition, we have several non-voting members. 2 of those are the resident appointee to the Forest and Duke. And Sharon mentioned this see earlier, there actually are 3 representatives of the 12 on the board that are residents here at the forest. Okay, and they're on 2 of them are on a 3-year cycle. And each can be renewed for another term or someone else replaced. And the third is the president of the RA organization. And I'm on that board for as long as I'm a president. So there's good representation in terms of the community itself, in terms of the upper part of the structure of the organization, as well as the RA in terms of communities. In addition, under the committees, there are many subcommittees and standing committees, and you'll see that as I go through the org chart. And those are really the group that are more focused on putting out what I would call programs. And that I mean you're actually involved in setting up things for you to enjoy. You look at the activities committee, for example, many of the presentations that take place in the auditorium and elsewhere are worked on in conjunction with Sarah Haney and her group and Evan, handling all the crashing here as it occurs if we need help. But in addition, we are instrumental in terms of helping define programs that would be of interest. Week activities and many other ways of engaging the community and foster community service. Like the forest, our calendar runs from November 1st to October 31st. It's always been that way, so don't ask me to give you a reason why is it running November to November. It does. Okay. As I said, the directors are on a 3-year cycle and are basically split, so that we always have a third who are been on for a year, a third have been on for 2 years, and then the second, third coming up for a replacement, and that will be occurring within the early fall. We have a membership meeting coming up this June, and I encourage you to attend that. You'll get a summary in terms of what we've done for the past quarter. And then in the November meeting, we'll actually vote on the new nominees will be put forward by a nomination committee for vote for the community to represent. The board itself meets on a monthly basis, and normally with not only the board of all the committees, we tend to take a sabbatical in the July-August timeframe because many residents here like to take off for the summer and enjoy things with family or whatever, especially if they have kept a second home or whatever. But I do want to point out that at least your board will be meeting through the summer. And the reason for that is these next few months are going to be a very dynamic time here, because you walk by and plants are going up around the terraces. Soon they'll be fixing up the roadways, and 120 new residents will start moving in here in terms of getting settled in. And we know there's a lot of concern about how do we absorb 120 new residents. Let me assure you, there's a lot going on. The RA board has been heavily involved in terms of addressing how the dining facilities can satisfy current residents as well as the new residents. All those decisions will be made by administration, but we are providing input in terms of issues, concerns, and that type of thing. Similarly, in terms of meetings, when you look at the meeting, 120 more people coming in, how do we accommodate them? Well recognized by the administration, and we're working with them to raise our issues, and our concerns as we go forward. So therefore, with things definitely going to be implemented with decisions made, etc., in the next few months, we feel it's very important. We continue to monitor, interact with that to make sure that it is seamless in what is taking place. And, along the line of new residents coming in, et cetera, this program to enhance their program, get mentors assigned with them, get the people interacting with people here in the main community, well, the not main community is the right, not the right term, the, the essential aspect of the community when buildings taking place. These are the standing committees. As I said, you see they basically align up with the organization chart of the forest, and basically self-descriptive. And this is the organization chart, and similarly, it is posted in the connections room. You all know where the connections room is when I use that term, right? Right off to the right, the central front desk. And these basically are the directors' committees that interact monthly with the administrative director to find out, raise issues with them, find out what's going on, to communicate, etc. And underneath are the subcommittees, and you can see that they are putting things out. The under health, the Staying Connected program, which attempts to get people from independent living over to visit people within the health center, so they don't feel lonely and get separated from the organization, etc. We've got the lobby table decorations where volunteers are putting the flowers on there to make things look pretty. We have the disease panel on the in that as well, where flowers put in for people who have recently and a variety of other activities. How do you get on the committee? Well, the membership is basically selected by the chairs among residents who say they're interested. So each year we put out a survey that says who's interested in serving on these committees, and the director then selects people that he thinks can help, he or she thinks can help contribute to the purpose of the particular committee, and keeping people on for at least the term of committee membership is 3 years, again, renewable, but then and activities that the committees rather that have a major interest in terms of our everyday living, like general services, dining, etc., tend to be fairly large. By that I mean, and health center, 10, 12 members on that committee as well. Whereas in the subcommittees, it's basically a much smaller group, and just do what is necessary to get things done. And as a consequence, depending on where you are, which committee you're on, there's a wide range of activities and involvement. Here's a look at the finances. The main source of revenues right now is the membership dues, which is $10 per person per year. Okay, that's less than a glass of water per day. Okay, and then you'll get additional revenue, so to speak, from the memorial directory, which many people. If you go to Cubicle, you can basically call individual names and pictures, etc. But for some reason or other, people feel much more comfortable looking for a face, flipping through a book, as compared to saying, what was that name? How do we get there? And along those lines, I encourage you to wear your badges when you go to functions such as this, and elsewhere. It's been one of the activities of the RA committee this year to get these name tags off people, so it make it easier for people to meet new people and greet them, etc. And they'll play a key role as the terraces move. In terms of expenses, the main expenses are in the printing of the directory, the printing of the forester, and the name tag cost is absorbed here. It's a lot of places. So this is in sort of 24-25 budget. Now we're going through a major change, as is happening in society today, paper is getting obsolete. And everybody's moving to digital type of communication. We are doing the same. Okay. We have an RA website, which you can need a password and code for getting into. I'll show you some of that. And we've got Cubico, and we're working with the administration to try and bring those two together, because you need Cubico to book reservations and get up-to-date news what's going on. It's much more push type of technology. If you've got Cubicle, you go to the website, almost immediately you'll see a message box that says you specific messages, and you can pop on that and see what's taking place. So it's, as Sharon said, Cubicle has been a significant improvement over what we had before, and it is going to continue to improve as we go through. And the IT committee is working to see if we can merge a lot of the resident association information, the minutes, the documentation, etc., into Cubicle. And I should point out that each month I generate a highlight report, which basically goes through what have been key issues raised by one of the committees for the past month. And that is posted within a week of the board meeting. We had a board meeting on Monday. That'll be posted by this weekend. Okay. And it allows you to go in and look and get a quick overview of what's happening, where things going, and what is important to track. And then you can get more detailed information by looking at the specific minutes of the committees you want. And hard copy of that is included in the connections room, as well as the electronic versions that are available. Through the dues. And we are now in the Employee Appreciation Fund cycle. Okay. And it's due to be closed by June 6th of next month. Okay. So if you haven't contributed, there should have been a slip in your monthly billing that you received. There's information on the website on forward, and there'll be further information coming out shortly. And again, I encourage you to participate on that. And it is voluntary, obviously, but it's an important way for us to show our appreciation for what is taking place. And the reality is that you only are aware of probably 10% of the people who are making things work for you here. And there's many, many more behind the scenes doing work, keeping things going, etc., that make this organization run as smoothly and effectively as it does. Again, just for your awareness, in the connections room, 2 boxes. One's for the RA organization, where when there are requests for fund, like for the repayments and whatever, and the employee appreciation funds are dropped in the upper box. In the lower box is the Forest at Duke, if you have any information. Wire here. The message really is get info. You were like me. I came here and said, yeah, I like the place. The people are nice. Okay. I like the location. It's close enough to where I had been living, that I continue to keep in contact with my friends and everything else. Okay. But it turns out that there's a lot of information here that I was not fully cognizant of when I moved it. And, clearly the message is understand your contract and understand what you're responsible for and the Forest Duke is responsible for, And the more involved you get, the more information you get. So I strongly urge you to start getting involved in terms of applying to be on the committees or being on the subcommittees. And no matter what your interests or capabilities or skill set, there's something for you here to contribute. Okay. In the connections room are information in hard copies in here, but all that information is also available on the RA website, you know, and on the someone on Hugo. And in addition, there's information about the administration on Forest Duke, where you can look up the individuals on the Forest Duke Board of Administration, see who they with their skills. And you know, they're volunteers too, in the sense that there's zero pay in terms of the amount of time they're putting in to help this organization. As I said, we have the Residents Association website. You need a username and a password. You need to contact who neighbor if you don't have that. Similarly, a lot of the information is on Cubigo. That's a separate website with a separate password and username. And if you haven't signed up for that, I strongly urge you to get it. Okay. So the message is join in, find out what you want to do, look up the committees. They're all described in terms of at the RA website in terms of who to contact, what they do, and so forth. And again, just sort of talking to the terraces and the things they're doing to integrate them. We've organized the community in what we call caucus, where there's a caucus leader who represents a particular zone, either a floor here in the apartments or a street cul-de-sac on the independent living or a section of the floor to drive